All right, everybody. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to OneObjective tonight. Guys, we have had some of the craziest technical difficulties known to man. As you notice, we don't have no music going right now. I hope everybody can hear us okay. I want to crank this volume up just a little bit more because I know some people have been complaining about it. So I'm just going to cut the volume up a little bit more. But anyways, guys, I really apologize. We wanted to start this show at 8 o'clock, and looks like we're going at 8:30. So, but James, we got you on. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh man, I'm just glad to finally get this show going.
Yeah, if we had Chris here, we probably wouldn't have these problems.
Probably not. So Chris, we blame this completely on you tonight. So
yeah, he's not there, so we can blame him.
That's right. That's right. Now Chris has to work. Chris works night shift on a weekday, so it makes it a little difficult to get him down there and run it. But I'm just glad to finally get it going. And man, normally we don't do our shows on Tuesday night, and I think that's what it is. We finally did this show on a Tuesday night just because of time restraints and everything we got going on. That I think it just threw everything in a loop. Like the computer was like, "Hey, man, we're not even supposed to be doing this tonight." I think that's what was going on. It just had no parts of anything that I was trying to do with it. So, but guys, y'all notice here in the bottom we don't have James's video right now. Skype has been that was the whole fight with everything tonight with Skype. This is the biggest battle I think we've ever had with them. But anyways, we're gonna have Jody Queen on tonight. Y'all all know Jody Queen just won the Hobie B.O.S Open Series Tournament of Champions, and there's a lot of questions, a lot to talk about with Jody tonight. So, but before we get him on, I want to thank all of our sponsors. They have been very supportive of us this year, even with some of our audio issues we've had. We've had people like, man, how do y'all have sponsors with the audio issues you had? Because they've been great sponsors, and they stuck behind us when we were going through our difficulties. So I really want to thank them guys with Bonafide, Yak Attack, Missile Baits, Falcon Rods, Hookfish Performance, Power Pole, AccuCoil, and Bionew Power. Guys, thank you so much for supporting us. And guys, if you can go check the links out in the bottom. I was trying to tag them all on the Facebook thing, and that was screwing up. So it was just a lot going on. But anyways, but James, how you doing tonight, man? I don't even know if I got into that. Just the confusion's got me all tore up tonight.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good. I know, like say, I think just threw everybody off and wasn't able to get, I don't know. It just went crazy there for a little while. But, guys, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I'm not going to talk about our problems anymore. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And we're going to go ahead and get Jody on now. Let me work it on in here. Let's see. All right, Jody, we got you. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, guys. Hey, how you doing? Doing good, man. How are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad. Now that everything's straight, but
yeah.
How does it feel, Jody? Let's get right into it tonight, man. How does it feel knowing that you won the Tournament of Champions tonight? I mean, this is a big series, the Hobie B.O.S Open Series. It's starting to grow into a big professional type series, you know? I mean, it's good sponsorships, and it's already a big company back, you know, the Hobie series, you know, Hobie boats are backing it. So talk to us a little bit about what it's like to be the champion of that.
You know, I've been a champion for about 36 hours. You know, it's just, I don't know. I woke up today and I don't think it really just started sinking in, the magnitude of what just happened. And I'm just kind of flustered right now. It's crazy. I mean, all the well-wishers and man, all the anglers in this sport, man, you know what they're like. They're great people, and they're all wishing me, you know, good things. And I tell you, it's overwhelming. I mean, emotionally, I mean, some of the things that I read today that people had written about me, I mean, they brought tears to my eyes. And I don't know. It's very humbling to know what your peers think about you, whether it's good or bad. You know, it's just very humbling. And you know, I'm blessed to be here. And I just, you know, tomorrow it might sink in a little bit more, and I might have a little better answer for you. But yeah, it's just crazy. I'm trying to soak it all in.
I understand that, man. I don't think that I couldn't ever tell you I know how you feel, because I don't know how you feel on that. And that's the cool thing about this sport is, yeah, when we're out there on the water, we're out to beat everybody. We're out to be number one, you know. But when you come back in and you see the people that pulled for you, even people that you were competing against, you know, we're so happy for you to win. And that's what I love about this sport. You know, everybody, yeah, on the water, it's we still help each other out to an extent, but off the water, everybody's friends. You know, it's especially that bigger series. Everybody's traveling together. It's more like a family kind of deal.
It is, and it's one of the things that Mike Iaconelli touched on when he was down there. You know, we had talked about the bass boat circuits. You know, with MLF and maybe not so much MLF. Those guys seem to get along pretty good, but the camaraderie that you find in this sport is it's a lot different than what you're going to find at the upper levels of the competition in the bass boat world. And he admitted to it, and I think he's right too. I mean, you know, in this sport, anything can happen at any time. You have people who flip, or you have people, and we're always cautious. And I think it creates a sort of care for your brother in arms, you know, your fellow kayaker. And I think just the sport being what it is and where we do it, how we do it, I think it creates a kind of need for us all to watch out for each other. And I mean, I think that's one of the good things about the sport.
Yeah, it's definitely. I know me and James coming from the bass boat side of things, like you was talking about, and James, I mean, you can relate on this. I mean, we've been on spots before where, you know, people, you kind of roll up and you're like, hey, man, what are you doing? This is my spot, or whatever. So when we got into the kayak side of things, you know, especially the small events, you had guys come up around and just fishing, talking, and I'm like, man, what are y'all doing? But I slowly rolled into that, you know, because I accepted that.
I mean, I've actually shared my baits on the water with fellow anglers on the water, you know. I mean, just saying, hey man, this is what I'm throwing.
Yeah,
you know, it's crazy, and that would be during a tournament, and it's just there's no way, I just can't think of any place else that you're going to find that. It's amazing. Yeah. I love it. It's one of the reasons I love it. The other reason is I just love to fish, and I like the competition end of it too, of course.
Yeah. Now, Jody, let's talk about your tournament and go into detail on your practice. How much time did you have to practice for this event?
Actually, I got in on Monday and got up Tuesday and went out and practiced. Tried some deep water stuff, you know, found some brush piles in some deeper water, and I caught a few fish, and I did okay. And then on Wednesday, I'm trying to think of what I did on Wednesday. Kind of started going a little bit shallow, and then of course, you know, I found a few fish on some wood, but they hadn't really moved up in there yet. And then overnight it got crazy, and then Thursday it was just, I didn't even get out on the water. But Jamie Dennis and I, we ended up getting in his truck and just driving back roads around the lake and just looking at different launches and stuff. And I think we had a better time just driving those old wood roads than haul roads and stuff like that we did actually getting out, but on the water. So yeah, it ended up being a good time. But I did put together a little bit of a pattern, but actually the big pattern break, the big aha moment, came during the shootout, when I fished the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I had moved from the deep water where I had been catching them earlier back into the shallow head of a creek. And I mean, this water was 1.5 feet in a lot of places. And I was catching fish off of just little sticks sticking up. And so that told me that, you know, no matter how cold it actually got, those fish were still willing to get up in that water, that shallow water, and on cover and stay there. So, what I did was I just pulled up Google Maps and tried to find a area a lot bigger than the area I was in. It was a small area with that wood and brush and stuff and the shallow water, and I found a much larger area, and that's what I went to on day one. And it actually worked out for me. I actually got something right for a change, and it worked out for me.
Now, going in, you know, you're talking about the shootout, and and figuring out the pattern there. Because some tournaments, especially when you get into 2 and 3 day events, you're still
Yeah.
figuring out the pattern. You know what I mean? And it changes through the day. But did you have to make much changes through the tournament, lure wise, or presentation, or not say presentation? That's lure,
You
but
know, uh, you know, Ike, he asked me the same thing, and I gave him a very boring answer, and it was no. Uh, but I think it was the area that I was in, and I used basically one bait for 2 days. Uh, I used, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I've got the bait here in my hand that won it. Of course, I'm gonna retire this bait for sentimental reasons. But it's just a green pumpkin jackhammer. I don't know if you see that.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
it's a 3/8, and it has a color called the Deal, which is a razor shad by Z-Man. And I threw that for 2 days, and I threw it in a way, it was so slow. If I speeded it up, I even tried putting on a half-ounce chatterbait, and they wouldn't hit it. For some reason, all they wanted was this 3/8 on whatever I was doing. But I was throwing it so slow that I was bumping and dragging the bottom in 8 and 9 feet of water at times. That's how slow, and it's a 3/8 ounce. So I mean, I was just barely cranking it. And the area where I was at was so big and had so much cover on it and so much brush, and it had 2 creek channels. It was just a perfect setup. And I think I was talking to some locals there. I think it was a community hole, but for whatever reason, those fish, when the sun came up and we had that warm sunshine, they was just coming out of that creek channel. They were laying on the creek channel edges, and they were just coming out when that sun started warming that water up, and they would just get on that brush, and they were in and out of there. And I would just make a circuit and hit the same pieces all day long, and there would be different fish on them. Every time I come back through, there would be another fish there. I'd catch one fish at a time off of it, but it would always reload. So at the end of day one, when AJ asked me if I thought that I was going to have fish there, I immediately said yes. I mean, he was kind of surprised I said it so fast, but I just knew what was going on there. And it worked out. They were there doing the same thing on the second day. Yeah, I was very fortunate that I had such a solid pattern on an area that was big enough, and had the capability of holding several bass at different times during the day. It just worked out really well. And I think a lot of those bass had just moved out from deep water because of the sunshine. I mean, I was fishing water in the creeks, in the actual creek channels. I had run up one of the creeks no more than maybe 50, 60 yards from where I was fishing a flat, and that water was 49 degrees. I was fishing 57, 58 degrees on the flat just off of the same creek channel that I'd measured 49 degrees. So they were just like, hey, I ain't getting out in that stuff. I'm going to hang on this edge, and I'm going to get up there when it's warm. And I had a captive audience, and I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
Very fortunate.
What was your rod and reel setup, Jody?
On that particular setup, I'm using a 7.3 medium heavy action Muse black with a Lose Tournament MB. I'm equipping it with 14-pound test fluorocarbon. Yeah, it's a great chatterbait rig. I mean. They make an actual chatterbait rod. 13 Fishing does that I've tried, and it's pretty impressive. It's a pretty good rod. Corey Dreyer's got one. My buddy down there, he let me borrow it for a while, and I was really impressed with it. But I don't know, this little 7.3 medium heavy action. I've caught so much fish on it, and I used the same bait and a different pattern just a few weeks earlier at the championships in La Crosse up there. And it got me a 3rd, 4th, and 5th place finish, respectively, in each of the championships up there. Yeah. And it was the same bait, but I was using a little different retrieve on it. I was just throwing it out in the grass and really just busting it out and letting it sink, bust it out, let it sink. I mean, these baits are so versatile. You can do anything with them, and don't be afraid to, do anything you want to with them. You'll be surprised what they'll do to the fish. They just can't stand it.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah, the jackhammer, it just mind blowing to me how much money that bait has won in the kayaking industry.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, it's amazing.
I mean,
Amazing.
when it comes to, because I love spinner baits. Just
I
within the
do too.
last couple of years, and yeah, we did a spinnerbait show not too long ago,
We
and with
did.
you, yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
very informative show. If y'all haven't listened to that, make sure you go back and check that out. We did a very good. Jody went really in depth on spinnerbaits, but I was going to
That's
ask you, when it
Yep.
comes down to it, when do you say I need to throw a spinnerbait over a chatterbait, or I need to throw a chatterbait over a spinnerbait?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, during the shootout, when I found they were on the wood, uh, I actually had about an hour and a half left in the tournament that day, and I moved from one area to that spot that I found on the maps that I ended up fishing. And I actually, when I got there, I was throwing a spinnerbait, and a fellow angler of mine was throwing a spinnerbait and was hammering them. And I caught a 19-incher during that tournament on a spinnerbait. But before that hour was up, I got on an area that I should have been holding fish, and I was throwing that spinnerbait, throwing it, and never got nothing on it. And so I just decided, you know what? I mean, the water was stained. I mean, I had about 1.5 foot visibility, and I'm very comfortable throwing these chatterbaits. I've won a lot of money with them, and so I just tied on the chatterbait and just started throwing it. And at first, I wasn't getting too many bites. I'd bump it off some of the brush. I got hung up a lot because you know how much they like wood, but yeah, and so, but I just kept doing it, and then I figured out the slower I got, and the more of that stuff I bumped it off of, the more hits I was getting, and they were usually bigger fish. They were a little bit bigger than the 12s and 14s everybody else was catching, and it just worked to my advantage. I just had those fish in there; they were just there, and I just had to figure out how to get them out of there.
Yeah. Now, when you come to you picking your trailer for that bait, and you're just talking about the deal, they have a Ned rig color as well, right? The deal, because that's the color we throw in the river sometimes as well.
Yes, they do, and they also have it in the bang stick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that bang stick, actually, I was using a bang stick with a 3/0 drop shot rig, and I was dropping it down in the middle of those brush piles. And that's what I was catching fish on during practice.
Oh, I got you.
And that dried up, and that's when I started going to a moving bait and hoping for some kind of reaction bite,
Yeah.
And it just worked out. Yeah.
Now, what made you go with that color combination with the deal and the green pumpkin?
Well, I use a lot of times I'll use the green pumpkin when they're hitting crawdads, and I'm in an area where there's a lot of rock and stuff like that. I'll use the regular straight up green pumpkin razor shad, but this area held a lot of bait fish, and that deal has that little blue shimmer to it, and I thought, well, it might be a little bit better because it's got a little flash to it, even though it's dark enough for them to see, they'll still have that flash.
Yeah.
But that was my reasoning, and it seemed to work. I'm not going to swear that that's the reason why they hit it, but it worked for me that day.
Yeah. Which, this time of the year, that's what a lot of these fish are. The last couple of shows we've been doing is the fall transition. They've been chasing those bait fish back there.
Yes, and there was a ton of bait where I was at. There was a ton of bait, and they were mostly hanging out in the open water off the flat. But whenever I did see them move up on the flat, I knew the fish were coming with them, and I would find those, any kind of cover that was close to them, and I would make sure that I would, kind of hang on that cover until the bait fish were gone or they chased them off or whatever. And that seemed to work, a little pattern within the pattern there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, for me, I don't know what it is, and maybe it's a confidence thing, because this time of the year, I'm always throwing spinner baits. But during the spring, the chatterbait has always done really well for me, the jackhammer and all that. Yeah. But for some reason, I don't throw it this time of the year, and I don't know why. It's just a habit thing, I guess, But it's deadly.
Tell you, what gave me a lot of confidence in it was I was catching, not this tournament, but other tournaments and other places. I was catching bass in crystal clear water on a green pumpkin chatterbait, and that gave me a lot of confidence And so now it doesn't matter where I'm at. I know that I'm just going to throw it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because my buddy, he was saying, man, you're throwing a chatterbait in that clear water. And I was like, I know, right? But yeah, it's crazy, man. I wouldn't have expected that result,
Yeah.
in clear water like that, but it works. It's just something they can't stand, I guess, man. I don't know if it's the vibration, but I've used other chatterbaits. I had my buddy sitting right next to me. We were smallmouth fishing, and he was using another maker's chatterbait, and I was using this, and it was 3-1. I was catching fish 3-1. We were fishing the same hole, same colors.
Crazy.
And I gave him a chatterbait. I gave him one of these, and he started catching them too. So there's something to it. There's actually something to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, James,
I use a diesel menace on these two.
Uh-huh.
If I want these to ride a little higher in the water column, I'll put a little diesel minnow on there, and it kind of keeps it up a little bit, makes it a little more manageable in the upper parts of the water column. If you're fishing a lot of grass, it's shallow and they're down in the grass, I mean, that diesel minnow a lot of times will allow you to work it a little bit better. And if you're looking for a little bit of depth, I go to the razor shads.
Yeah, that's some good information there. James, now you had a buddy that like throwing chatterbaits up north there, right?
Yep. Yeah, I made him those chatterbaits.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it was like a green pumpkin color or whatever you were making for him, and that's what he was using up there with smallmouth fishing.
Yeah, it was green. It was like a greenish pumpkin, more green. It was kind of like in between a green pumpkin and just a green. And he threw them up there for smallmouth up north.
Yes,
and all that clear water.
I throw these for smallmouth too. Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know. It's like I get in clear water and I feel like I got to do something different than what I normally do, and it shouldn't be that way because they're still chasing green pumpkin crawfish down in clear water. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, they're still eating the same color baits, So I was throwing you was talking about Black Bayou down on at the championship down there. When I first got there, I was throwing and you don't remember the watercolor there. It wasn't clear by any means, and I was throwing a jerk bait in there and actually catching fish on that jerk bait. So I mean, those fish know what their forage looks like in all different water conditions.
Yeah.
So it's not always true that you're not going to catch fish on a jerk bait in muddy water, or you're not going to catch fish on a green pumpkin chatterbait in clear water. I mean, it's just they know what they're looking for. They know what they look like. And if you match in the hatch, there's a good chance they're going to hit it anyway. So throw your comfort first, and then switch up if you're not doing any good.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like I say, it's especially when you get down in clear water. I think the main thing with clear water people needs to understand is you got to be further away from your target.
Yes, sir.
And then you can use the same baits. It's just a mind thing.
Yes, I agree. Yep.
Yeah, you get over that, man. It's I think people can, and I'm the same. Fishermen are all bad about that. We got our habits and confidence in things, and we don't like to change up much.
Yeah, it's if you've been told for so long, or even it's been your experience that this works only when this is happening, then you don't want to break outside of that box. So yeah, I mean, if you got any free time at all and you're wondering about something, go ahead and step out and think outside the box and do it. I've been guilty of the same thing you're talking about. I'm like, man, there's no way I'm going to throw a spinner bait in this, or I'm going to throw a jerk bait in this. There's just no way I'm going to do it. And it's probably hurt me in the past, but I've just learned to, try anything. See, if it works, it don't matter,
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, let me ask you this. When it comes to the kayak side of things, now I know in the bass boat side of things, Brett Height and all of them, they love throwing it, the evergreen, and that's who helped design that bait. So, but you don't hear about it as much. I guess you can't say that. Ott Defoe did real well at the Bassmasters Classic last year, throwing a chatterbait on them docks. But other than that, you don't hear about it that much in the Bassmaster series and all that as you do in the kayaking side of things. It just seems like it's a fad. I don't want to say a fad thing. It's just a bigger thing in the kayaking side. It seems like everybody throws chatterbait,
Yeah. I've watched some MLF. I did go back and watch some MLF on Ouachita. Mark Rose was sitting close to a spot where I was fishing at one time in one of the tournaments, previous tournaments, and that kind of turned me onto that area before too. Also, but you go back and watch those things, and a lot of times they're not saying anything, but if you pay real close attention, you'll see them using them chatterbaits.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
and
a lot of white ones.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And you know what? The swim jig has really made a big resurgence, man. I mean, I see a lot of guys using the swim jigs too. If they're being a little finicky or something, they'll take that chatterbait off and throw on a swim jig.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I was watching on there. I've noticed, and we talked about this in I think one other show, James. I can't remember if he was on that show or not. I know a while back, but you see them guys. They're throwing swim jigs. If you watch, they're throwing the chatterbait and then a wacky rig. It seems like that's the main three baits that you see a lot of people throwing on there.
Yeah, and that tells me something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they cover water. That's what they're doing, and that's the
Yes.
thing with kayak fishing too. You got to be able to cover water, and fish effectively. So
yeah, I mean, you pick an area, and I mean with us, a lot of it is picking up and going to a completely different launch. We'll have to load up and go and relaunch if we're going to cover a lot of area. But if a lot of it is, we'll find these big areas, maybe a mile and a half areas, and it's way more intimate because you have to get to know that area so much better because you can't pick up and go, 30 miles to the next area unless you're loading up and you're losing time and stuff. So you try harder to find fish in that area. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you try to concentrate on the fish that you can catch in that area, and it's really interesting because I find myself slowing down a lot more, to try if the bite's getting tougher or I can't figure them out, or I try more different things because I know that area looks like it holds fish. For whatever reason, I wouldn't be there, and I don't know. I think you try to learn the area a little more. I mean, you figure out where every little rock, stump, log. You don't just pull up on the main stuff and say, oh well, there's nothing there, I'm gonna go 30 miles down. So I think it's a little more intimate with the kayaks because you get to know the areas a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I got a lot of comments that are coming in. I'm gonna get to y'all just here in a little while and get these comments to Jody. But Jody, let's kind of get back to the Hobie Tournament of Champions. And
All right, man.
what is your experience with fishing that? I mean, I see so many write-ups the last several days after the event, people doing a recap and just how wonderful the experience was with the Hobie tournament. I mean, talk a little bit about it and what your thoughts are on the whole Hobie series.
Man, I fished 3 of these tournaments with Hobie, and each one of them were, I mean, they had a great focus on the angler. Making the angler comfortable and just taking care of the angler, and their check-in times and stuff like that are well done. You have an hour for upload. There's no special time you got to be back. They say the awards start at this time, so you can go back to the room, take a shower, whatever you want. I mean, they're very relaxed with it. They feed us. I mean, my experience with it is all positive, man. I mean, I really enjoy fishing them. I really do. I think they do a great job.
Now, I know everybody loves KBF. I like KBF stuff too. And Hobie, both of them are a great series. It's kind of like comparing Bassmasters to FLW. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love KBF, dude. I mean, the last tournament we had up there in La Crosse, man, it was amazing, man. They had food there. I mean, they had great check-in times, just like the Hobie tournaments. I mean, I think as this sport develops even more and gets even bigger, which it's going to, the more that the organizations that are doing this thing, the more information each of them can share back and forth and streamline them and make them better. But we need to work together. I mean, these organizations need to work together and try not to compete against each other. KBF and Hobie, to my knowledge, has done a great job of trying to schedule tournaments to where the anglers such as me, who makes a living doing this, can schedule their schedules around them so they can fish both series. And I just want to fish, man.
Yeah.
I want to be able to have access to the Hobie series. I want to have access to the KBF series and these guys. Chad Hoover, he's a pioneer, dude. I mean, without him, he's paved the way for all of us to get in here and fish the KBF series and have a way to bring home a paycheck. And I have bills just like everybody else. AJ asked me what I was going to do with the money. I said, well, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make a dentist appointment. It's good. It's the same all over. I mean, we worry about the same stuff. We enjoy what we do, but we still have the same bills to pay as everybody else. And, AJ starting up, and running the series, the B.O.S. series they're pioneers in what they're doing. And I think it's only going to get better as we go along. I think that they're going to share information and I think the future looks bright for people like us. The anglers themselves. I think it's just going to get better and better. I really do. I'm very optimistic, as you can tell about it. But
yeah.
I've been in it just a few years, and I've seen it come so far so quickly. I know what's possible with it. I think it's going to get better and better.
Yeah, and
I think there's going to be different formats too. I think KBF might be thinking about doing a format with like MLF or something like that. I mean, there was talk about it. I don't think there's anything solid, but I mean, when they're talking about it and it's on the table, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And James, did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, it seemed like he's
Yeah.
rolling on through.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Am I talking to? That's the coffee.
No, you're fine.
It ain't the coffee. No, you're just giving a lot of good information.
Yeah. No, we love it. We love it. Now, we've had some sticks in the mud. I ain't gonna name no names. That was years ago, and it's always good to have somebody on who wants to talk. So,
yeah.
But no, and I feel bad for like Chad Hoover sometimes. He catches a lot of crap for things that happen in the KBF, and a lot of people, so many people don't understand how much is involved with running a series across the whole United States like that.
I look at it like this, man. Anytime you have somebody who is as passionate as he is about what he is doing and the whole kayak bass fishing thing is, when you have somebody that passionate who's willing to stick their neck out, there's always going to be somebody try to step on his neck, but he's got broad shoulders. He is no big baby. I mean, he can carry himself well, and he knows how to bounce back from anything. And I think he's learned a lot about not letting the little stuff get to him. I think he's doing a lot better with that. But it's a passion, and anytime that someone attacks your passion, you want to lash out. It's your first instinct. If somebody comes up and hits you, the first thing you want to do is hit them back. So. I mean, it's growing as a sport, and we're growing as human beings too. And it's all new, and I think that all of it's going to get better because I see it happening. It is getting better. But yeah, Chad he catches a lot of flack sometimes, and he's aware of it.
Oh yeah.
But there's no denying. There's no denying. I mean, if you got any sense at all about you, just look 5 years ago. Would you be having the same conversations? Would you have anything to gripe about if it weren't for people like Chad Hoover or AJ McCorder? You wouldn't have anything because it wouldn't exist.
Exactly right.
So quit griping about it. Get out there, pick up a fishing pole, go do something positive, take somebody fishing, get out there on the water, man.
Yep.
Don't sit in a chair and tear somebody down just because you can. It's not productive.
No. And that's why I get aggravated too, because me and James, we run a tournament series, just a little small club tournament series, and was in the bass boat side. And you always have somebody that isn't happy. You don't make everybody happy.
Always.
But
yeah.
And I don't get on arguments on social media. I just don't do it. I'll read some of the comments and I'll just get off because it'll make you mad. But my thought is, if you don't like something that much, because these same people are complaining and complaining and complaining, either don't fish it or go start something that you think you can do better at it and pave a way, for something better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. My wife and I, we have a pretty simple saying that we pretty much we kind of live by. It's kind of our mantra. If something isn't adding to your life, it's taking away. All you got to do is figure out if something is adding to your life. If it's a positive influence on you and it does good things for you, hang on to it. Keep it close to you. If it's not, let it go and just move on with the positive things in your life. It just negativity breeds negativity, and you just got to stay away from that stuff, man. You'll live a lot cleaner, better life without it in your life. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if you ever listen,
Well said.
Yes, very well said. And if you ever listen to Gerald Swindle talk, if you ever went and go, just look up Gerald Swindle's positive mental attitude video. And if you've never watched it, watch it, because it is phenomenal, and it will change how you think about things in life. If I'm having a bad week or whatever, I'll still go watch that video, and just because
I'll check it out, man.
Yeah, just look it up. Look up Gerald Swindle's positive mental attitude. He actually had bracelets for that for several years ago, but it is insanely good. And I know some friends that actually listen to that going to a tournament. You know what I mean? And
right,
it's just
right.
it just
Get that positive mental attitude on the way, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And look, that's a famous man right there. He's still getting phone calls.
I had to throw my phone at my wife.
Oh man, but
man, I didn't mean it, baby. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't be getting in trouble on here.
Yeah, I know, right? See a cat fight on here. It was really funny. Last year, I have a buddy of mine. Most of y'all might not know this, or some do. But when I'm not fishing, I'm a full-time artist also, and I live in this great place here. My apartment is actually old schoolroom. I live in a 33,000 square foot school that we are renovating and turning into a history museum and an artist studio and a gallery, and we already have the gallery open. And I took a picture out back one time of a kayak that I'd just gotten, and my buddy Gary was sitting in a chair on a deck, and behind it, and he didn't have no shirt on. It looked like he was naked. And when I posted the picture, I didn't even think about it, but you couldn't see anything, down here, but from waist up, he looked like he was naked. And a guy got on there, he said, "Man, I don't know you that well, but is that guy naked?" So I was going to have Gary come behind me with a duster and dust this trophy here with just a pair of shorts on, and tell you guys he was just my trophy butler.
There was a comment on here earlier about that.
Yeah.
A guy was talking about boxers or briefs.
Yeah.
I was going to get to that. Now I can't find it, but oh man, but no, that's.
I love this community, man. I love this community. I love the guys in it, man. I've met so many great people in this community, man. We're a good bunch.
Yeah. It's just and it's always like it's the same guys up there. It's just crazy how consistent you guys are. I mean, Cody Milton and Josh Stewart, and Jody Queen, and you just got the same guy. Y'all are just like on it, and it's just a phenomenal how people, because you'll have guys that do good at certain bodies of water, and then after that they kind of struggle a little bit. But I mean, you can fish. I mean, you whipped our tail this year at the New River. I mean, that looked like it was sickening, man.
In all fairness, man, I'll have to say that I've fished the New River for 40 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know every nook and cranny, and and log and tree and stump and most of that river. So I mean, I am definitely at home on that river. The lakes and stuff were just a recent thing for me. That I just started fishing lakes about when I started kayak fishing. And it's still, I'm still learning so much, man. And that's another great thing, another positive thing about the industry that we're in this sport. I mean, you learn so much from your fellow anglers. I mean, they're so willing to give information. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. And when they talk, I mean, if you listen, you pick up things. So I learned pretty quick on some of the lakes, and I'm getting a little bit better on them. So. But yeah, when I get a tournament on the river, man, I'm just tickled to death.
Oh
I
yeah.
love it. I love being on that river.
I called James up that morning before we put in because the water was really high and it was
Yes.
chocolate milk. And the spot that I had, it was a little dirty, but it wasn't that dirty. And I called James. I'm like, dude, I think I'm just gonna go home. Like I don't even know what to do. Like the water was rolling, and
Yeah.
I caught one little smallmouth on a spinnerbait, and
Mhm.
I had the trolling motor wide open in the current, barely moving. And I'm like, this ain't
I
gonna work.
know. Man, I know.
And I'm like, Joe, and I seen the thing where the score tracker, and he was doing good. I was like, he's got to be down at the lake fishing. But then everybody's like, no, he was in the river. I'm like, good gosh almighty. But
Guess what I was throwing?
probably a chatterbait.
I was. I was. I caught everything on a chatterbait.
Oh man. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, there's a couple spots on the river that produce pretty consistently. But now you got to understand too, you guys, when you put in down below the dam there, dude. I mean, what the water drop that day? Like 18 inches?
Yeah, it was, and I was actually
Yeah.
above that dam. I was above that dam, and it dropped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, you
Yeah.
get that water dropping that like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it creates tough conditions, man.
and it was really high. Like it come up through the night, and then I got out on the water, and then it dropped really fast. And it's like, man,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's up down there. I mean, the river can be a cruel mistress at times.
yeah,
But when you catch it on fire, man, it is on fire. Oh my gosh! I mean, those areas are producing 23-inch smallmouth. There was two smallmouth over 23 inches caught in the upper new above Clater Dam this year, and I mean the upper new was really on fire this year. It takes there are cycles,
yeah,
Sometimes the upper new produces really well and the lower doesn't, and sometimes the lower does and the upper doesn't. And it's just you just kind of stay on top of those cycles, and you're going to catch fish there.
yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly right. I'm going to get to a couple of little comments on here, Jody, and a lot of people are just congratulating you. Um,
Man,
you-
I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, guys. I'm telling you, me and my wife, we sat right here and teared up. I mean, more than once today. It's just amazing, amazing, and I love everybody that's wishing me well. It's crazy. I don't know how to take it. It's just crazy. I had no idea that people, follow me that much or thought that well of me, and I'm so blessed for every one of them.
yeah, you're a likable guy. You know what I mean? You're easy to talk to, and you're a likable guy, and you help everybody. You know what I mean? You're not in it just for you. You're in it for everybody as a
Well, I
whole.
try,
So
man. I mean, that's just I don't know. I want people to have fun, and I want them to do good things. And I have my moments. I'm not all peaches and cream all the time. I mean, I've been in a few scraps in my lifetime, but uh,
we all
it's
learn
just
from it.
yeah, and that's just it's a part of life. It's a part of life, and I've learned as I've gotten older that I need to pick my fights and figure out what's worth standing up for and get my butt whooped. So I don't fight that much anymore.
Yeah. Heck, I'm 35 years old and I don't want to fight no more. So I couldn't imagine.
I tell ya. It's like the hangovers hurt more than they used to. You just don't heal as fast anymore.
Yeah, he's right. We got one though from Scott. He said when you head down south for a while, he wants to come fish with you and Miss Jenton.
Oh man. Oh gosh, man, I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah, I'd love to see you down there, Scott. Man, I mean, oh my gosh, we'd have such a great time. Jean Wilson I know you guys know her. She is just a legend, man.
Yes,
An amazing person, an amazing angler, and gosh, I just love her so much.
she catches
And,
some big
and
fish.
Scott Bozier, man, I mean, two of some of my favorite people right there on the earth, man. I love them both tremendously. They're great people.
And for another thing too, I want to thank Scott for the comment he made earlier today on Facebook about us
Absolutely.
doing the show because I initially I didn't know Scott did his shows on Tuesday nights. I don't get to watch them live all the time, so I had to go back and watch the replays and just didn't think about it when I set everything up. And it was my fault. No intentions to try to do that on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure he knows that.
And for what Scott said, Scott, I appreciate it. And you run a heck of a show. And I want to tell you,
Mhm.
the interview that you did with, Luther last week, that was
Awesome.
phenomenal interview. That's why I didn't even bring him on the show, because it didn't get no better than that. I couldn't have done no better than he did. You know?
Hard to follow that.
Yeah. So, I was like, and I'm not going to put Luther through that again as well, to have to talk about that again.
You're a nice guy, man.
But no, he does a really great job. And guys, as y'all know, most of y'all will probably watch this show that are watching this. On Tuesday nights at 8:30, Scott does the weigh-in and does a phenomenal job of doing some great interviews with a lot of great fishermen. So, but I'm sure Scott will be back up, and maybe I guess he'll be doing the Wednesday night, Westbrook Wednesday night or something like that. So just make sure y'all go check that out. Yep. But no, Jody, I do appreciate you coming on tonight. James, you got anything else you wanted to add on to Jody's?
No, I just want to thank you for coming on, and I think you're going to make a great champion.
Yes.
Well, you are a great champion.
I'm honored to be here, guys. I mean, I try to help everybody out. If I'm just thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I think one day when we look back, there's going to be, you look at Bassmasters, there's a Hall of Fame. I think one day there's going to be a Hall of Fame of kayak fishermen, and I think
There should be.
I think you should be one of the top ones that are first inducted to it.
Thank you so much.
You're just an amazing guy, and watching you do well, it inspires us to get out there and go fishing more, and knowing that you're just you come from the river, you know what I mean, and
yes, sir.
To get out there and learn a different body of water, it can be intimidating going from a river to a lake. And the way that you went about it, it just shows that you're a true fisherman, and that you're able to adapt well to different situations.
Man, you make it sound easy. I think I struggled to learn it, but yeah, I guess if it's your passion, get out and do it. If you put the time in, it's going to happen for you. You have to want it. And the first day on the water of anywhere that you go, you're not going to do well most of the time. I mean, we all get lucky, but you have to learn it, man, and learn your electronics. I mean, those are a big. I'll tell you, my electronics were key. My power pole was key in the pattern I run at the Hobie thing. I mean, I was running through just marking everything I could mark on my side scan, and then I looked at it. I set over 70 some waypoints on that area, and I just kept going around and around and hitting those waypoints. I mean, use the tools that you have at your hands, and be passionate about it, and you'll go far. You will. Stay humble. Stay, true to what you're doing, and try to be honest, and you'll go far.
That's exactly right, Jody. I do have two questions here, and before I let you go, I know I was going to let you go there, but I do got two questions. I want to get to these.
Sure.
One was Jared Kemper. He says, "How do you approach getting sponsors?" I know that you got some good sponsors, but you've had a lot of success to be able to. It didn't come easy. You was able to get some success with it. So,
man, there's a couple different schools of thought on that. I mean, a lot of people, when I first got into this business, a lot of people would say, well, now this is how you approach a sponsor. You want to give them this information. This is a media packet, and this is this. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is just make sure that you get out to events. You find the sponsor booths. You go meet them. You let them see the type of person you are. The more time you spend on the water, the better you're going to be a representative for them, because you're going to come place better in tournaments. And it all boils down. Catching fish is not just a part of being on the water a lot, but it's meeting the people who are involved in this sport. The more time you spend on the water, you're going to catch some of those too. So just get out and do it, man. Just get out and enter your local partner clubs. Meet those folks, find out who's who in them, start doing some KBF stuff, start doing some Hobie B.O.S stuff, all you can. You might not want to jump into it both feet all together right away, but just work the waters and get out and go to shows. Go down to. I went down to the Bassmasters Classic this year, and I never even went to the weigh-in. Man, I just sat and I talked to, people that I met on the floor down there, and looked at products and stuff that I was interested in, and just, people get used to seeing your face. They'll see your name if you get out there, and just being out there is going to help you a lot. And then if you find something that you like, just say, hey, this is what I can do for you. Would you be interested in me representing your product? And just keep it honest and keep it simple. Don't overload them with 15 pages of a resume. Just tell them who you are and what you're about and how you feel about what you're doing, and tell them what you can do for them.
Yeah. And something I want to add into that real quick is, because I see so much of it. You go through Facebook and people have 25 pro staffs that they're on, and I'm always keep it simple, keep a tight niche of you start out at pro staff, especially when you're just getting into it, but keep it a small level, because you will never ever represent those companies to the fullest like you should if you got too many.
Right. Yes. It'll cause you to spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, and it's work, man, and people don't understand that. They'll get it, and then they're like, I'm on pro staff, this, and this, but they don't realize how much work's involved with just promoting, and doing it right.
And as an angler, if someone comes to me and says, hey, I have this great product, if I don't use that product, I'm going to say, well, can I use it for this amount of time? And let me see because I'm not going to put my name on anything that I don't feel comfortable with endorsing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be, I think they call them sponsor whores, excuse the language.
Yes, it is what it is.
But I mean, they're out there, and it works for some and doesn't for others. But yeah, like you said, keep it simple. Find a good product that you like real well. If you like bending branches, use their paddles. Have a great social media presence. Make sure that paddle gets shown, and you hashtag that company. Show them some kudos, even though you're not sponsored by them. If it's something that you're looking forward to trying to pursue, get their name out there. Show them that you're able to promote them, and believe me, people are watching. People are watching you.
Yes, exactly, and keeping it clean. And something I see so bad too is people get on with one brand and bash other brands. Not a good idea. Yeah. It's not a good idea. So
that's. Okay, so do you think these major heads of these corporations, do you think that they're sitting in boardrooms bashing each other?
Nope.
Ain't no way, because it's bad business.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're going to be up there bashing each other, because not everybody's going to like this product or this product, but you still need people to buy that product.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's no way to go. It's just bad business to do that. They're not going to do it, and we shouldn't do it either.
No, and you'd be surprised at how much, like you go to ICAST and the Classics and all these other big events, how much these companies actually talk to one another about that stuff. So
exactly. Yeah, I mean, they want to know what's going on with each other. I've seen companies loan pieces of equipment to other companies before, just to help get their production up, because something happened to one of their pieces of equipment. I've seen restaurants loan each other food. Because all the people aren't going to use one product at a time. Mm-hmm. They're just not going to do it. And so you need products out there to keep people fishing. You need, you don't want them leaving the scene for good because you just stop making a product, or there's only one product there. There has to be a market for that product, and you have to have people to buy it. So, be helpful to each other, and you're both going to be better off for it in the end.
Exactly right. I got one more question for you here. And
sure.
I know that you're on the Bonafide team, but somebody wanted to know how you enjoyed how you liked the Hobie.
I like the Hobie. It was a great boat. It's got great space. It's great maneuverability. It's a great boat. It's a great boat. It was a loaner from a friend of mine who owns a outfitters up here about 30 miles from me. There's no way that I could have done what I was doing by paddling. And I knew that this was a very important thing for me. So I went out on a limb and I used the Hobie, and I'm glad I did it, because I couldn't have done what I did without it. There are a lot of companies that make great boats. I loved my 140, man. I still miss that boat, my ATAC 140. I love that boat. I love my Bonafides. I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gotten me to where I am, and I'm gonna tell you, man, you throw a torpedo on the back of a 127, man, it becomes a totally different animal.
Yeah.
They're great boats. I mean, but all these companies are making great boats because they know that they have a market that they're going to have to stay up with and stay on the cutting edge with, because we're demanding market. We got to have comfort. We got to have accessibility. We got to have all that. So the companies that aren't keeping up with that they're going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole merger with Bonafide and Native and all the other companies, Hurricane and all them, it's scary, but it's good. And at the same time, I think it's going to make everybody a little bit stronger. But
my thoughts on that are, you're a business owner. You see opportunities. You understand what the risks are when you go into business like that. It's your passion, just like fishing is my passion. Just like doing what Chad does is his passion. AJ, what he does is his passion. You don't want to see that passion die, so you're going to take every step you can to keep that passion alive. So
yep.
I understand, the ethics and the decisions that you have to make in big business to keep your baby alive or to further yourself in it. But I just refuse to get caught up in any of the negative politics of it.
Yep.
And I want to go fishing. You throw me a schedule out there, and I'm going to fish it. And that's the way I like to keep it stupid simple.
That's right. That's exactly right. And
Yep.
me and James both have been asked the questions about it before, and I just I don't have no comment. I'm like, we'll just see how it goes, And
yeah, I mean, it's life in the real world, man. I mean, I really hate it for the people who are involved in the factories down there and everything. But who knows? It might start doing well enough, and they might get called. Say, man, would you like to take another shot at it? You never know, or they might find something else that they like even better. And I just really hate it for those guys. But it's the world we live in today, and
yeah,
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it does. It does. I believe that. I honestly believe that everything happens for a reason, and it doesn't lessen the pain any of losing your job. But
no,
you're
not
right
now.
But I pray for those guys, and I think that they're going to be okay.
Yeah. The Lord closes one door and opens another one for you. That's the way. That's the way
true.
It is. So
that's true.
But well, Jody, I ain't got too much more. Just like I say, just a lot of congratulations and glad to see you doing so well this year and in your career as well. So, but definitely looking forward to seeing how you do next year. I know you're getting excited about next year, and
I'm all excited right now, man, about next year. I mean, both the schedules look great, and I'm just really looking forward to both sides of these two great trails that I'm getting involved in, man. And there's rumor that there's another trail coming out there, and I hope they make it too, So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm excited to see. I've heard some rumor about that, and I'm excited to see what comes of that. But yeah. I mean, the industry's growing. It's looking good. Just got to get through some growing pains, and but other than that, Jody, like I say, man, I'm excited to have you on. I appreciate you coming on tonight, and congratulations. And
Thank you, brother.
Looking forward to following you next year.
Man, can I give a quick shout out?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
A few of my best buds and angler friends that I respect greatly in this business: Scott Bozier, Christine Fisher, Corey Dreyer. Hey, man, love you, dude. Jamie Dennison, Jason Broach, Cody Milton. I mean, you guys are rocking it. And to the upcomers, up in the kids in this sport, I say they're kids, they're young men. Dylan Fuquay and Jackson Orr are great examples for our kids. I love you guys. I really appreciate what you're doing for the sport, and you are the future of this sport. Please stay on the path that you're on. Get your friends into it. Take somebody fishing, and I'll see you guys on the water.
All right, Jody. I appreciate it, man. And we'll be talking to you later, buddy. And like I said, I hope to have you going again here soon after you win another one next year.
Oh, man. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you guys do, man. Thank you.
It's not a problem. Thank you, Jody. You have a good one.
All right.
All right, bye. All right, James. Do we got you, James? Oh, I just hung up on James. Oh, man. What a night. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. It's sorry we had to get the show going a little bit later. With technical issues, and everybody knows how computers can be. They don't like me sometimes, but hopefully we'll have Scott. I was just seeing his comment. Hopefully we'll have Chris back Sunday, and we got another show that we're getting lined up. It's gonna be a special show, and we were already trying to talk with Major League Fishing about getting another pro on. So looking at having another Major League Fishing pro on. Just don't release a name yet. So, but other than that, guys, I do appreciate y'all tuning in with us tonight. Normally do these shows Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We might be looking at moving them up to about 8:30 on Sunday nights. So just let us know what y'all think about that. I know 9 o'clock can be a little too late for some people and they're going to bed, but I know they can catch it the next day. Also, the people that didn't catch this show, if you catch it on iTunes, please give us a rating. Let us know what you think about the show. We started getting some bad reviews when our sound was bad, but now that we got our sound fixed, it's been staying pretty mediocre. So, but that's a good thing. We ain't getting bad reviews. But other than that, guys, make sure you follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, and Google Play. You can listen to all our shows there. Also on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe to our channel, please, and hit that bell button beside us. Every time we got a new video coming out, you'll get a notification. I got a new video. It's going to come out. Me and Chris went fishing at Smith Mountain Lake Sunday. So I'm working and getting all that together to release Thursday. So stay tuned for that. And other than that, guys, I don't have nothing else to add to it. Hopefully this Sunday, we'll have all these little bugs worked out. But other than that, I want to thank everybody. Scott, I want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to go ahead and take over this interview with Jody. Like I say, sorry I cut in on your time that you normally do your show. Totally did not mean to do that. So, but other than that, guys, y'all have a great night. Y'all have a great week, and stay warm. I know it's cold right now, so hope everybody stays warm. We'll talk to you later. Bye.